Okay, so hello everyone. How are you doing tonight? Uh, Tonight we're going to be talking with our artists. We have Elrick, we have Paul, we have Monica, and we have Gabriel, and me myself. Each of us will be giving you a short summary of our art and what inspires us and what drives us to create our art and our mission statement, whether on BitClout or off of BitClout. And we'll be showcasing a couple of pieces. Gabriel, would you like to start first?
Yes, thank you so much. Like, my name is Gabriel. I'm Toronto-based fashion celebrity photographer. I have been done stuff for like Vogue Italy, LeBron James, Daniel Radcliffe, Tristan Thompson, and many other artists. Now I'm working in my NFT project, which is called Metamorphosis. So this project was inspired on my makeup artist, the one that I use for my photo shoots, because he's from Mexico. And when you are from Mexico, they expect you to be like this macho man, how they used to call it there in Mexico.
Masculinity, the toxic masculinity assertion.
Exactly. And he is suffering like, discrimination because of his sexual orientation. He is like homosexual. Even like, his own family make him left Mexico because all this judgment and all this bullying. So now he's living here in Toronto, which is like, we don't judge like anyone. You can be like whatever you want, and like, you are free to do whatever you want with your body, or like, you can make decisions without judgment. So my project is based on the 4 stages of the metamorphosis. So you will be seeing like 4 different pieces, which represents like 4 stages in terms of like auto acceptation, healing, inside healing, like all the suffering he had for being, for having another sexual orientation, and other like internal situation that he went through, even having like all this problem with his own family because he's not like what they wanted for him to be, being from Mexico. So yeah, I'm trying to do this to to educate people and try to help this community. So 50% of the sales of this project are going to a drag queen charity that we are helping back in Mexico. So we send like costumes, we send dresses, we send like all kind of stuff that they need because they don't get support just because they are not like these macho men. So yeah, let me show, if I may, the the piece that I have on foundation. So I can talk a little bit more about that. Okay, here we have it. So as you can see, he is Ramiro, and he did his own makeup and all like the makeup and the concept. So I just like add like these butterflies. So in each piece you will see like the butterflies more like if we can say more like in a better way. So that represents like the 4 stages. So of course you will see different for poses and different photos till get like the last one, which is not written yet. And you can see like when the butterfly is like the adult, so you will see like the process, and each piece you will see like different expressions representing like different stages that he went through with all this situation back in Mexico. So that is kind of like my project and my NFT art. I'm not like fully like NFT artist, so I'm more, let me go back to stop the screen. So I'm building more like galleries, 3D galleries for NFT artists. But now I feel like I need to help even more than just providing a 3D service. So I will be doing projects like this one to help communities. Then I have a Chrome disease as well. So I will be doing more stuff related with the Chrome disease people. So I can, use the sales to help them and promote like their community, and try to give them tools because it's hard when you are not like accept, and when you have like all this judgment just because like could be any condition you have or any like sexual orientation. I think we need to like sometimes being on their shoes too, and think about how we can feel if we are in that situation. So that's what I'm driving me to create all these NFT projects, and also working in another one which is like based on a animal rescue farm that I went a couple years ago. So you have like horses, you have all these animals rescued from fashion industry, from all other industries. So I will be making NFTs and give them all the money. I don't get it anything like from myself. From the NFT, I will be giving away like 100% of the sales, because as I say, for me, I have like a good life as photographer. I can pay my bills, but I know that I can use my work to help others in not like a privileged situation. So yeah, pretty much that's who I am, and that's what I'm doing with my NFT projects. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, guys.
Thank you, Gabriel. That's a very noble cause, empowering others. And it's a very undermined thing that we have to delve more into. Thank
Yeah,
you a lot, Gabriel, for everything you're doing for that community.
yeah, no, I mean
And
that's the idea. Help as much as we can. That's why I'm here on BitCloud. As I always say, I'm not here for money. I'm not here for hype. I just here to help as much as I can in any way. And yeah, I think that if we work together, we can build a good space for everyone.
yes, definitely, definitely. And that's the message that when you see artists trying to spread through their work, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Thank you
Thanks.
for your time.
Appreciate
So
that.
who'd like to go next?
Yeah, I think we can go with the next artist.
Another thing, Gabriel, your galleries, they're on your BitCloud,
Yeah,
and the links are in.
yeah, I have like two different like projects. My main one, which is Gabriel Di Sante, where I used to post like all kind of services that I provide, and now I have a new one, which is GD Virtual Galleries. So that is just for like BitCloud. So I think like
Mhm.
when I came to BitCloud, I built the first like 3D virtual gallery, but nobody, you know, we didn't get like support. So I believe with the NFTs coming, people will get more like interest, because I'm using these like 3D services like for all kind of industries, not just like NFT. I'm doing this for retail, hospitality, music artists. So I think with these galleries, you can provide a good experience and showcase your work or your product in a more efficient way to drive more sales, which is like the goal for some artists and brands and retailers, right? So yeah, you can go there and check more information about the galleries, and or everything you need to know in terms of benefits and like features and services is going to be posted there.
Thank you, Gabriel. Who'd like to go next?
Well, probably me, because it would not be a long story. So I'm originally from St. Petersburg, Russia, and I started photography after my father taught me and in school, but it was like a film photography, 24 film. It's nothing. So until I bought my first digital camera, and it was already in New York, it was like not even a hobby. But after I bought my first Olympus, when the game started, first photography what I did like for the community was the cat photography, actually, cat show in New York. And I posted it to the internet and start to communicate with cat community. And I still communicate with some of them. For example, Rusi cats from who I brought to BitCloud is from that community when she came to New York and we finally meet. And when I started to do event photography, nature photography, everything except studio photography, what I don't do, I don't have a studio. And then we I and Alex AG created a website called City Photo Lab, a community site for photographers. We did different competitions, and that website existed successfully for several years. But when Facebook came, and after Facebook, everything that is not Facebook is dead, was dead. So from that, many years, and I joined Instagram. Instagram was a little bit successful, but before BitCloud, nobody in the real world known who Elrick Erikose is. If you ask Google, yes, Elrick Erikose, 3 pages in Google. If you ask my real name, Elrick Erikose is a book character, but all internet knows him. Yes, 3 pages. In real world, nobody. So before I joined BitCloud, before I went to Miami, before we had meetup in New York, my photography was known only to my friends and internet. That's it. Now it's different. Also, several years ago, Alex launched the side single short show. It's a TV show, and what's displayed on New York TV and also on YouTube about photography, interviews with photographers, artists, galleries. And just a couple of days ago, I finally convinced him to bring this show to BitCloud. So now single short show is a part of BitCloud. And we're going to make next episode about NFT actually. So after, because when COVID came, studio was not available, we did not shoot any new episodes, but now New York style is starting to be alive again, new episodes. And let me show a couple of, that's from California, for example. But on my site at City Photo Lab, like 1,000 photos. However, what's interesting, yes, everybody knows me at BitCloud, but when I ask them, do you see my site, do you see my photography, they say no, show us, and when somewhere say wow, okay. So these, and my plans on BitCloud is to finally learn about NFT, and then we probably would actually make NFTs. However, the more I learn about NFT, the more I understand what I didn't understand anything. Because, for example, recently I won some NFT from one artist in BitCloud, and till this day I cannot actually put it in my wallet, but I learned. So this is basically all what I wanted to say in this short video. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I'm looking forward to working with our photographers, either as Elrick or City Photo Lab or single shot show, because as I say always, BitCloud is the future for a world with no future. Thank you.
Thank you, Elrick. And you bring up certainly good points, like NFT education should be more brought up, should be more explicit. We have lots of people that want to delve into NFTs. Before I started with NFTs, I was lost, and fortunately I found a couple of friends that were able to help me. And perhaps that's something we can do. Maybe we can organize something and start a project over that. Thank you, Elrick. Paul, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Paul Pichugin. I'm a photographer. I live in the southwest of Western Australia. Most people know Australia. They think of Sydney and Melbourne, possibly Brisbane. I actually live closer to Antarctica than I do any of those cities. So that's how big Australia is. I am a landscape and travel photographer. I have worked on projects in 18 countries, every state and territory in Australia, plus several of the major islands that we have, and Antarctica. And I'm hopefully, pandemic willing, heading back to Antarctica at the end of next year. Easily one of my favorite places. I have been on social media since before it was like a major thing. You know, I was on MySpace pretty early. So, and I've just kind of not followed the trends. I usually am on platforms pretty early. So I came across BitClout and decided this one looks very different to a few other blockchain projects I've been involved in. So yeah, building a audience, if you will, and connections on there. A lot of my work is landscape based. I'll just share my screen. Give a second. There we go, that one. All right, so a lot of my work is landscape and travel and adventure based. I tend to travel as much as I can. I am married and have 3 children, so that's not a constant travel, but at least 3 or 4 times a year outside of pandemic times. And a lot of my work, I'm trying to portray nature at its greatest. I tend to avoid cities for photography. I do enjoy city photography, but a lot of my work, I want to portray nature and habitat. I'm involved in a few humanitarian projects as well as habitat preservation projects. So they're both causes that are very near and dear to my heart. As much as I love cities, they aren't nature, and we all need to get out and recharge in nature. This was in Cambodia, this one. So with NFTs, my plan is to launch them once they're available on BitClout. I do have some NFTs on other platforms, but I sell limited edition prints of kind of fine art prints, and the idea will be to tie them in with the NFTs so that when you purchase an NFT, you also get a limited edition print and they're tied together. So yeah, this is some of what I do. This is Egypt at sunrise, inside one of the mosques. A lot of my work, I tend to work in 2 different methods. Some of it's kind of conceptualized or pre-envisioned in my head, and then it's like, how do I go about actually making that happen? And so a lot of research and planning and time and effort is put into it, such as this one. This one, I had the shot in my head well before I even arrived in the area, and did a couple of scouting flights in a helicopter. And then we had to work out like the right tide times to line up with the sunlight. And I was super happy with the outcome. These photos were actually published in National Geographic magazine and a few other travel magazines. So yeah, I tend to focus mostly on nature and the outdoors.
Wow, that's amazing. The photographs you're showing us are truly gorgeous.
Thank you. I will.
Oh, and it's deeply insightful. Like when you get to see what's happening behind the scenes of a photographer's mind, and you talking about how you had to perfect the tides and everything for the shoot. Wow, it shows that there's a lot of work and effort that goes into stuff that most people don't realize. And I want to say we appreciate that. We all do appreciate that.
Thank you. I'm just trying to find one of the photos in particular to speak about. This is Antarctica. Sorry, I thought I'd been through them all. Not this one here. So like this shot is a single photo, but it's about 5 years worth of effort has gone into this one photo. So this tree, Australia doesn't have any, well, most of Australia doesn't have native deciduous trees. So we don't get autumn colors in most places unless the trees have been brought in from other countries, like this one here. So to get autumn or fall colors is quite rare in Australia. And I wanted to get this tree lit up at night under the Milky Way, and also wanted a reflection in the water. Now the problem is that the wet season doesn't start until kind of the end of autumn, and this area is completely dry after summer because we get close to zero rain over summer in this particular area, and then winter is our wet season. So to have it line up with the new moon so that I can see the stars as well as the water and the leaves, like to get all three all happen to fall within the same 3 to 4 day window in any given year is actually quite difficult. The first year we had flooding. The second year a storm came through and the tree had 0 leaves by the time I got to it. The third year, I'm trying to remember, I think it was fogged out, and then like it basically took another couple of attempts to actually get the shot. So a lot of my photography is where I've got the shot in my head and I'm just trying to chase, you know, getting it into the camera and onto people's screens and walls. So, yeah.
Thank you. Definitely worth it. I'd say that pick was definitely worth that effort.
Thank you.
Thank you. Monica, would you like to go?
Yeah, of course. So
go ahead,
good
stage
night,
yours.
good day, good afternoon. I don't know. I'm in Brazil here. It's already night. So I'm Monica. I'm from Brazil. I am an artist and also a designer. It's a pleasure to be here, of course. My presentation will be based on a lot of questions submitted today in my profile at BitCloud, because I'm going to do a giveaway. And the rule to participate is make me a question, so I will give you the answer during the live. So that's what I'm going to do. But I'm also going to show you 2 NFTs. One is my favorite one, and the other one is the one that I'm giving away today. And then after showing the NFTs, I'm going to start with the questions. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Can you see? No? Let me have some feedback here. Is it okay?
Yeah.
No? Yeah. Thank you. So this NFT is named Fuchsia. So the 2 NFTs I'm going to show to you are part of the same series. The name of the series is Tropical Garden. And it's a kind of about the relationship between flowers and the geometry and the environment. So I really like to play with morphology and the change that those living beings, pass through their lives, and how it's possible to play a lot with patterns that came from this, flowers. So I use, I explore also a lot of algorithms to construct these words, not in this one. Sometimes I don't use them. The other one, it's, this one's the one I'm going to give today. And it's also 2 Brazilian flowers. And it's Manacá da Serra and Paineira. And this part here that grows, it's between the mixed vectors of them both. So it's more or less like this. I'm not really good talking English, so I'm nervous. Sorry.
It's comfortable.
if you have any questions, please just let me know. So those two is the ones I wanted to show to you. So maybe I will just stop sharing. You can see I have many others, and also I'm going to make a launch in 12 days with a partnership with a great Brazilian percussionist. She's one of the most interesting ones in Brazil because, like me, she also like the traditional culture and the environment that we live. So she makes a really cool electronic traditional elements together soundtrack. I'm really excited. It's going to be about an environment that we have here that's named Cerrado. It's a kind of savanna. So I always love to have a history behind my artwork, and always. So the questions that I received was, what was your first NFT and why did you decide to make it? So my answer, Elrick, is it was in January of this year, that year actually. I decided to mint an NFT to create artificial scarcity, of course. This way I was able to transform a digital artwork, which by essence is multiple, into something that can be sold as a single piece. So yes, of course, I prepared the answers because the questions sometimes were complicated. So huge time, look, huge time, really? I'm also a type designer. I have like a font at Google Fonts. If you want to try it, the name of my type family is Tomorrow. So you can just, download at Google Fonts. So you get tiny, asked me, when designing a typeface, are there structural components you always keep consistent typeface to typeface? Are some components more available for variation exploration? Sort of what I'm getting at is what makes an A across all faces? When does an A stop being an A? Well, it's a really hard question. So my answer for you is I see type design restrictions as an exercise in creativity. How many variations are possible of the same visual structure? I think it depends on the designer's knowledge and commitment to creating diversity within legibility. I like, and he asked me what I really like to draw, and I really like to draw in diacritics and the German blues, the Eszett. Those are my favorite characters to draw. So giveaways, BitClout asked me, how many years have you been doing art? I started studying in 1998. I entered the university at 2000. I graduated in 2005, and I started acting professionally in 2008. So it's been a total of 23 years that I'm dedicating to art. So it's a long time now, 23. Marcelo Mota asked me, how did you get to know the NFT technology? And how do you develop your art in this new context? So I learned about NFTs through study groups and art technology communities in which I'm participated. So I changed a lot of knowledge with many people through internet. Yeah. He also asked, how do you develop your art in this new context? So I've been working with programming and digital art since 2012. So my process didn't change a lot, actually. So it was more like a new way to sell, not a new way to think or to create. It was something was easy and natural for me. I also have my own contract. I don't use it because it's good to have the platforms, the biggest platforms, they have good apps, but I'm also capable to create my own contract. So he also asked me, how are you making people aware of it and willing to compromise with it? I mean, buy it. So Marcelo, I think what I'm doing is I'm making constant and continuous artwork, right? Developing my own language, being an educator, this is really important, participating in the community and being relevant to my ecosystem. For example, I organized here in Brazil one meeting, a monthly meeting named the Noite de Processing. It has already 6 years. Every month we have talk about art and technology. And I have already organized the 3 processing community days in Brazil. And I'm also used it to, teach in communities. So I'm trying to be a real active person in my community. Tony DiMarco asked me, what's your favorite digital tool to draw? And it's the iPad. So I really enjoy, but it's digital because I really enjoy gouache too. And I mix a lot of things. I have a pen plotter machine here. So what I really like to do is to draw everything vectors. So then I plot it with my robot, and then I just paint it with gouache. So it's kind of everything is a salad. Lucas Jackson asked me, what's the reason you start creative programming? So that's kind of a nice question. I wanted to draw landscapes, where things changed over time, but in an unpredictable way. And, with not a simple repetition, because when you are talking about chaotic processes, of course, you have some kind of repetition. You don't have all the possibilities. You have some possibilities, but it's really hard to have a simple repetition. So I really enjoy that. And when I discovered that I could do this with programming, I just went crazy. So, and he also asked me, which tools do you use for creative programming? In general, I use the processing language. If necessary, I can also, code in Python, so I can use Drawbot. I'm also use it to make open type programming. That's the type for fonts, type families. And also now I'm studying Solidity, to work with NFT contracts. Yeah. So Traffic Captain asked me, that was funny. It's the last one, and I was like, what? But okay. I'm working on a new scuba diver clothing fashion line. Is that something that could be interesting for you to be part of? And what can I say, Traffic Captain? Maybe, can you send me the proposal? So those are the questions I received. And all those peoples are going now to be in my wheel of names. And I will right now, just sort one of them to receive the NFT. And people, if you are watching me, remind me to send me your wallet number, but I will also reach you in BitCloud. So let's see, I will share my screen, and then we can do the wheel thing. Come on. So this is the one. I am giving away. Here is everybody. And I think I'm just supposed to click where? Click and Control Enter. So, come on. So giveaways BitClout.
Congratulations, giveaways with Clout. Oh. It's a beautiful
Congratulations!
NFT.
You just need
It's a very
to
beautiful
talk to me
NFT.
right now. So I suppose that's it. I want to thank you all. It's really nice to be here. It's also strange to be the only woman, but I'm glad at least we have one. And I hope we can have many, many other talks like these and, you know, to share a lot of knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. It's a pleasure to have you on here. And it's also interesting to see how the difference in how you perceive the environment and nature between you and Paul and what you make out of it. It's definitely interesting to see how art can convey so many messages in so many different ways. I'm the last speaker for tonight. My name is Ahmad. I'm PoetryByUnicorn on BitClout. And I'm 21 years old. I'm a med student and I'm from Jordan. I thought if you've seen Petra on Paul's hat, on Paul's photographs, I'm from there. So what drew me into poetry was at first, it's directly actually connected to medicine. I have an interest in neurology and neurosurgery. So once you try and see patients and what they're suffering from, you start to read into it. And it started all with, started Musicophilia by Mark Owens. It's a book I definitely recommend. And it went into how we understand and grasp music and lyrical arts within our brains. And from that, it evolved into trying to understand the insight and the in-depth analysis of self and consciousness. And it went on to people like Eliot, T.J. Eliot, and Mark Twain actually has a couple of insights on that. And so I've tried to branch my art, my poetry, as a form of coping with my delve into myself, as a form of existential thought. And it's actually been very empowering to be on here when you talk about emotions and when you talk about feelings and experiences, especially as a man, where you're constrained by the community and by your environment over what you can say and what you can express. As Gabriel said, there's a sense of toxic masculinity. You have to be a macho man to meet certain standards in your community. And so men have developed many ways of coping with it, and poetry is an essential one of them. And the themes and thoughts represented behind poetry are something I truly believe everyone should look into and value. And so I'd like to showcase a couple of my poems on here. I'd like to start with volume 1. Volume 1 was basically an in-depth run into insight and what consciousness is, and takes certain aspects like fear, courage, sadness, happiness, and it presents them on their own. It exaggerates them to a point where you start to see a bit of eccentricity with what we believe and what we act upon. And so they're on a plain background, let the words speak out, and they're all available on OpenSea as NFTs. And my favorite one from volume 1 is this one. From rattling bones he weeps, arthritic fingers lone their pen sweeps. We hold hands not with lovers, but he stands our final endeavor. He sits on a loom and weaves wonderful poems, then grieves. Worry not, all flowers are beautiful, all rot, but pink carnations. And this poem comes from a personal fascination I have with mortality and how we cope with mortality as human beings and what we do to understand that we only exist for a finite time and what we do with that finite time. And that's the basic concept around volume 1. It's presenting these deep thoughts, these inquisitions into self. Meanwhile, volume 2, as I'd like to show you here, it has a more eccentric theme to it. It has a more playful, colorful theme. As in, it presents what we are normally used to and subjects it to extreme eccentricity to try and draw, similar in how humor exaggerates and to help you draw a conclusion. And so, for example, this one, it's a bit of a twist I had. In the maze of mirrors you lie today, some may leave, most will stay. But feed your eyes so they trigger dismay. In every mirror you shall find a crack, perhaps a demon of your past. But when all is said and all is done, the crack is within you. It cannot be undone. And so there's certain things you draw from what your past is, what your pains have led you to become who you are today. And also volume 2 is also on OpenSea, and I'm still working on it. There's still going to be more work. There's still a lot for me to discover about self and consciousness and awareness of what we are. And so volume 2 is a more vibrant colored theme. I also have my community poetry, which I've recently started, and that's centered around empowering members of the community. So I started with a person called OZ that I met on the natural average call. And we talked a bit about what's going on in his life and the pain that he's going through, and I connected to it. And so I decided to base a piece of work on that connection because I believe it should be valued. And it's also available on OpenSea, and all returns from this NFT and any future community NFTs will be 100% sent to the people that inspired me to write them. And so I'd like to start with the themes that he's given me, basically speaking about his love for gardening and how he found a certain passion and how he found out that he has green fingers and how it helped him cope with the stressful life he's been having. So it goes for what's for a rose but thorns entwined ungracefully into skin. For beyond the white lilies, beyond daisies and jasmine, lies the valley of redemption. The buds, itching with life, scream remorse from sin. Tutelage of grace, thrive, thorns to roses next of kin. Travel left sharing life for the soil, brought home to the aphids. The circle of life goes on, hope by grace resurrected. Flutter, O butterfly, between flowers. Sip nectar of your gods. Upon insects, the fence towers, none to consider breach laud. Vegetables consider no stew, berries never set to stain, yet life quiet owes to few, green thumbs for a change. The circle of life goes on. So I'd like to give out a shout out to my friend and community member, OZ. You'll find him on Organics Only. He's on BitClout too. And I'm hoping to help and empower more people through poetry to share their feelings, to speak about their experiences and what they're going through on a day-to-day basis, and to understand that they're appreciated, they're understood, and they're embraced by this wonderful, beautiful community as we've seen on here. So thank you to everyone and for presenting all your beautiful art, your beautiful photographs, your amazing work to us all today and giving us insight and backdrops to everything that you've done. And congratulations to Giveaways BitClout on winning the NFT. And thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
I have a question, please. Don't shut down.
Go
for
ahead,
a while.
Alex.
Yeah, I have some questions to speakers. The first one goes to Paul. Paul, you are doing an amazing job with your photos, and you definitely had a very big, very long career in that. And I'd like to ask, how long are you doing this? So, is it 20 years like this?
I got my first camera, which is actually in there. I got that when I was about 5 years old, 5 or 6. It was film, obviously. I'm going grey, so I'm old enough to remember film. I shot a lot of film work through like high school, but coming up through high school, I didn't kind of realize that photography was a valid vocation. You know, I didn't know of any photographers. so it just never even occurred to me that it was something you could do to make a living. So I went into IT. I did programming. I was a network engineer for about 10 years. And then in 2009, 2008, we moved to Western Australia from the east coast of Australia for work. And then the GFC hit and I got made redundant a couple of weeks after starting and moving my family across the country. So with that came a decent payout. And so we used that as our safety net to go full time into photography, and had our ups and downs. The pandemic was a bit of a business issue. It's hard to be a travel photographer when you're not allowed to travel. But print sales and licensing and a couple of NFT sales have kind of kept us afloat. So yeah, that's the kind of long version.
Yeah, it's a very long journey in photography world, and it seems that since childhood you have a gene of photographer since 5 years old, as you told, and it's awesome to know. And my second question to you, then I will ask Monica. What is the most expensive photo that you've ever made, and what's the longest journey that you made in order to make a photo?
Is it for Paul? Yes.
Yes, it's for Paul.
Oh, sorry.
Should I repeat?
Yeah. So the longest journey I've made,
yeah,
I guess,
what was the longest? I'm sorry.
Depends on your definition of longest. In terms of like the furthest I've traveled, I went from a project in Hobart, Tasmania, and I flew from there to Perth in Western Australia, from Perth to Dubai. So Hobart to Perth is a 3 or 4 hour flight. Then from Perth to Dubai is 11 or 13 hours. Then from Dubai, I went to Oslo in Norway. And then from Oslo, I went to Reykjavik to Iceland, where I took that picture there. So that was probably if I traveled any further, I would have started getting closer to home again. So I was like almost literally halfway around the world. Other times I have driven through the Australian outback and been completely self-sufficient for 3-4 weeks at a time and not seen another human being the whole entire time to get photos in the outback. So yeah, some of them I've traveled a very long way for.
Yeah, and the second question is, what is the most expensive photo you've ever made in terms of cost?
Like how much it has cost me to make?
Yes.
I wouldn't be able to say, because the way I run things is that if I want to go somewhere, like for instance, Iceland, when I went there, I'll use Japan because I was there in January and February last year. I really wanted to go to Japan. So I spoke to their tourism board and said, this is what I do. Will you pay for me to come? And they did. So they paid me to take photos there. So in terms of most expensive, like I wouldn't be able to say, because I usually am getting paid by at least 1 or 2 clients to do the trip. So, in the next couple of weeks, I'm heading to the northwest of Western Australia. I'll be gone for about 2 weeks on the road, and I'm getting paid the entire time. So the expenses don't necessarily come out of my pocket. If I had to pay out of my pocket, it would have been Antarctica, but I got paid to go there as well. So that was cool.
Yeah, I think that Antarctica was one of the most expensive for your clients.
Yeah, possibly.
Monica, I would like to ask you, how long does it take to you to make one piece of art that you showed us today? And as far as I understand, you were using some of programming language for that. And what was it?
So how long it depends a lot, but usually I start to draw, then I start to, manipulate the images with processing language. Then after all, I need to make a move with it, and then I make some addition as well. So maybe, I don't know, 2-3 months for one animation with 30 seconds, something like this. But I used to work in 3 or 4 at the same time, something like that.
Yeah. I see. And what about the programming language that you use to create your art?
Processing is the name. So inside processing, I use JavaScript, but it's a kind of, a bit different. You should see it. Processing, it's an amazing language. It's from 2001, was developed at MIT by Casarias Ben Fry. And it's a language developed specifically for artists. So we have a lot of drawing functions inside the language that are already,
Okay.
red. So that's the one.
Yeah, thank you. Gabriel, I have a question for you as well. Could you share with us your link where we can see other your works?
Oh,
So
yeah.
we saw today just one, and I'd like to see more of your work.
You can actually, I would post here my website. So it's www.gabriel.disante.com. Post there. So there you can see all my work in terms of like fashion, like photos, pictures for Vogue Italy, celebrities, weddings, all kind of stuff I do that I don't post usually on Instagram or like any other social medias. And yeah, I need to run because I have another event in like 7 minutes. So I'm moderator too there. But I just want to say thank you so much, guys. It was really nice to see your work and all like your passion. And Paul, your photography is just like, whoa, it's just blown mine. Like I wish I could travel and do landscape and all the stuff you do. Hopefully in the future I will start doing some of that as well. But I mean like all of you guys have like amazing stuff to share, and I would love to see you guys more, showcasing your stuff and getting more involved in this type of like events so people can enjoy your art and what you guys are doing. Thank you so much, Alex, for the opportunity. Cloud Forum. I mean, I wish we could have more stuff like this more often. Thank you so much. Hope you have a good night, good day, good evening, good morning, whatever you guys.
Thank you, Gabriel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gabriel.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you. So we'll proceed without Gabriel for now. I have one question for all of you guys. So I know that you are involved in different projects, including some of them on BitCloud. And if you would like to share it, I would appreciate it because it's interesting for me personally to hear from you what are you doing here on platform, except the art part that we are discussing now. So maybe Elrick, you would proceed with that.
Well, I just now typing actually the links, but our main project besides all this is the Russian BitCloud Russification of BitCloud. However, for now, because I have some IT education, but it's not enough to do a node or anything like this. So instead of node, I'm a translator, one of the translator between Russian and English community. But I really want BitCloud to be available in Russian language because there's a lot of misunderstanding already. People do not understand the condition of site, condition of competitions, conditions, and that's not good. But so far, what we gain? Chinese translation. So we're working on it slowly but surely.
Wow.
So,
Wow, it's great, you know, because I saw news from Diamond Head that they have launched the BitCloud on Chinese, but we don't have for Russians, and it would be great for mass adoption to have on Russian as well. But from other side, I can say that as far as we don't have the Russian version for that, it's good for us because we are early adopters. We have a slight advantage for that, and you can take credit for creating a Russian version of BitCloud if you will manage to do this, Elrick. I hope you will. It's great. Paul, please, if you have any projects on BitCloud, share it with us.
The main one I'm working on is called Teach Clout, and it is a learning platform that I'm trying to create, like similar somewhat to Udemy, but I want to tie it into the BitClout ID API, as well as the eventually having people being able to pay in BitClout for courses and tutorials and what have you. And the idea behind that is to give creators another avenue to earn an income. So one of the biggest ways I earn my income outside of actually taking photos is by teaching photography and leading photo tours to places like Antarctica and Japan and various other places. So I want to put that experience online. Obviously, I can't take people with me traveling online, but especially Antarctica, there's no internet there. But so the idea is that people can teach their different skill sets and get paid in BitClout. So yeah,
it's cool. Paul, I just have a very simple question, and I think that would be maybe could be the first travel blog on BitClout if you will do it, because you can establish the channel on YouTube and just make some short videos about your travels between places for taking a photography and share it on BitClout. And I think it's gonna be the first travel blog, because I didn't see one yet on BitClout.
Yeah, I'll be basically doing that for my next project. So my next project, I leave in about 1 month's time, and I'll be on the road for, at this stage, it's looking like 3 weeks. So I will be updating whenever I've got phone reception. Most of Australia outside of towns does not have any sort of phone reception at all. So I'll update when I have data. But yes, that's something I'm working on as well. But that'll be on my personal handle right there.
I just wanted to say, please let me know when you will do this, because I'm eager to watch it, really. Monica, what is your project on BitClout?
So I'm willing to join the Creator Incubator program. And my main goal with this is in the future, act as a tutor to onboard artists, especially from Latin America. So I'm going to learn a lot more about crypto economies and many things. And I hope the program is going to be great. And then I can develop everything I learned to people that are near me here. So Creator Incubator is the project right now.
Oh, thank you, Monica. So Poetry, Ahmad, please tell us about your projects.
Unfortunately, at the moment, I'm not working at on any other projects on the cloud. I'm just on here for the community. I'm not interested in raising any funds. I'm interested in just empowering others on this platform, because truth be told, I'm busy in my life. Like I have tons of research, and I have
Sure. You are studying in med school, and it's very
yeah. So
you have a high pressure on that because it's very hard to learn. It's over. Yeah, I totally understand this. So guys who is watching us now, if you have any questions, please feel free to turn on your microphone and talk with us. Besides, while you are doing this, I will ask one more question that we ask every speaker on any panel of Cloud Forum. What will be your message to artists about next 100 days of BitCloud?
So I'd like to say my message personally is spread love. The more love you spread right now, love is a tool, and how you use it influences your future on BitCloud. Because we've seen lots of creators and artists on BitCloud try to use negatives to gain their followings and infiltrate communities. But the love that you use might be slow. You might go slower. You might have lots of setbacks, but eventually the community and interactions you'll form will be genuine, and definitely you'll have your place in the community. You'll have your name, and you'll form your own brand image.
Thank you, Monica.
Just keep going. Ask for help if you need, find others that are like you. And I think that's all, just keep going.
Short and clear. Thank you. Paul?
So definitely agree 100% with Poetry by Unicorn. Don't get involved in drama. Don't get tied into it. Don't, just steer clear. Keep posting consistently. Consistency is everything on social media. Post very consistently, and consistent quality too. And don't feel like you need to always post a polished piece. But people want to see behind the scenes. Take them behind the scenes, teach them something, show them how you're creating something. It doesn't always have to be a polished and finished piece, but if you keep doing that, you'll grow your audience and connection with people. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. It's very useful tips from my point of view. Elrick, what do you have to say to Clouters?
Well, when we created City Photo Lab, I want to join all the photographers at least of New York. Now with BitCloud, I probably could join all the photographers of the world. Let's see about that. It would be very interesting. Probably through single short show and City Photo Lab and BitCloud, and probably with much average. But like I have a lot of ideas, but nobody to implement them besides me. We'll see about it.
Thank you, Elrick. So I would like to say, before Poetry will close our panel session, I would like to say thank you to all of you, despite of any inconvenience that we have on preparing this panel session. I hope that this is helpful for you, or maybe entertaining as well to participate. And I'd like to say thank you for your patience and for being positive about different things. And I wish you all good luck. I wish you the best followers that you can have on the platform, and to avoid those who is making drama on BitClouds, because you don't need those followers, as I think. So the last thing that I would like to say is we are going to have the panel discussion with Arts, Clayberry Music, William Laurent, and Cloud Photo tomorrow about strategies for artists. And I think it will be great for you to join, and I will make my best to give you a floor to ask question if you will have one. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for participating today, and thank you to our viewers for tuning in. It's been a very enriching experience for every one of us. Thank you, everyone.